What's up, nerd geeks and gamers alike? It's your boy Nerdy Nick. Now, I rediscovered recently what I thought was lost, and that's my PSP, and its very lacking collection that I have for it. So, this past March at Game On Expo, I went ahead and decided to add to that collection. So let's check out this pickups video. So yeah guys, like I said in the intro, I thought I lost my PSP. It was all because I was scrolling through Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, and I came across one of Radical Reggie's posts talking about checking on your PSP and its battery to make sure it doesn't balloon up and corrode and screw up the whole system. And that got me thinking, where is my PSP? I haven't seen it in a while. I think I know where it is, but I don't know. So I went and checked my nightstand, and I only found the charger there. And that's normally where I kept my PSP. But for the longest time, I had realized I haven't seen it in the drawer in quite some time. So I ran around the house like a madman. It took me about maybe an hour and a half of looking. And finally, I went back to the nightstand and pulled out the drawers of it and realized I had found it. It was sitting there at the base of the nightstand, covered in dust, untouched for how long, I don't know. But everything was all good. Battery was fine, charged it up, and it played like a champ. So that was right before Game On Expo 2024. And I had decided, you know what? I have not collected for this thing really at all. I think I have maybe 10 games for it. So at Game On Expo, I went with a mission. And that mission was to find PSP games that I would love to play on the go. I feel like right now, the PSP really doesn't get a whole lot of love or attention. And I mean, neither does the Vita, right? But the PSP, I think, served a lot of us very well. If you're like me in your, early 30s, it served you very well in high school especially. I would play it on the bus to school, during lunchtime, on the way home from school. It was basically a PS2 on the go, and I thought that was just awesome. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get through these pickups. So, number one, the Gradius collection. I call it Gradius. I don't know if it's Gradius. I don't know how you guys pronounce it, but it holds a special place in my heart. I used to love playing the first one on the NES way back in the day. I think it was one of the very first video games I ever played as a kid. My parents had the NES in their room, along with Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, Duck Hunt, and the Super Mario Brothers on that same cartridge. This game is the collection rather, is really awesome. It's got Gradius 1, 2, 3, 4, and Gaiden. So there's 5 complete games here, and I got a really good deal on this. Shout out to Elliot over at Game Tower. Definitely a game that I am enjoying in my collection. Next up, we've got Soul Calibur Broken Destiny. It's Soul Calibur, guys. I mean, you can't really go wrong with an arcade type fighting game on the go. You're in a, maybe a 20-minute line somewhere. You got your PSP with you. You don't have time to fully dive into, say, a RPG or something like that. Pop in Soul Calibur and entertain yourself for, those 20 minutes. What's really cool about this one is it has Kratos from God of War in it. So I'm definitely excited to have this and add it to my collection. Next up is a certified OG classic, and that is Star Wars Battlefront 2. It is a little weird because this is a game that usually runs off of dual sticks. Obviously, the PSP does not have dual sticks analog, but once you get the hang of the controls using triangle, circle, X, square as your second analog stick, everything starts to flow and make sense. It only took me about maybe 3 minutes or so to really get the hang of the controls and figure out exactly what to do and, you know, how to operate. It is Star Wars Battlefront through and through. Obviously, graphically speaking, it's not super impressive even compared to the PS2 version of the game, but it is fun arcade action pick up and play. And you'll notice that the theme of these games that I've picked up are games that are pick up and play, because that's my kind of play style. Next up, we got Ratchet & Clank Size Matters. Guys, I am a huge fan of the Ratchet & Clank series. Now, unfortunately, I don't know what happened, but I could not capture game footage of Ratchet & Clank Size Matters. I don't know if maybe the UMD needs to be cleaned up or something, so I apologize, guys. But that is what it is. I'm looking forward to getting it cleaned and seeing what's going on with that. Alright, so there's a dungeon crawler type game that I've loved on the PlayStation 2 or Xbox, wherever you might be able to pick it up on. I was fortunate enough to snag a copy of X-Men Legends: Rise of Apocalypse 2. I love these games. They're so much fun. I love the whole squad, team-based, dungeon crawly type aspect to it. It feels very arcadey, although it's not necessarily like a pick-up-and-play kind of game. It is like a long-in-the-tooth kind of game. There's a lot of exploration to go through and whatnot. But I love me some X-Men. I love me some Diablo types. So I'm very excited to try this out. You know, probably laying in bed. Like, let's be honest. That's where I do a lot of my mobile gaming. You know, I had my Nintendo Switch. I'll lay down and play some Stubbs the Zombie on that while I'm laying in bed or whatever. Just to kind of, you know, cap off the night, so to speak. But yes, X-Men Legends 2. Ooh, this one here, I was really excited to get. Celebrating its 20th anniversary when it came out. Final Fantasy on the PSP. It is a retelling of the first Final Fantasy, if I remember correctly, or if I know right. And let me say this, I'm not the biggest Final Fantasy guy. Although, I do appreciate Squall. I'll just say that. I know I'll probably get hate for that in the comments, but I don't care. Dude's got a sword that's also a revolver? Like, I don't know, it's crazy. But, I have been meaning to try and branch out my gaming library, you know, not just with pick up and play games or FPSs, stuff like that. So, I'm really trying to branch out and get into some Final Fantasy types, you know, the JRPGs, RPGs, and whatnot. So, yeah, got Final Fantasy on the PSP. And now for the total opposite, Rainbow Six Vegas. It's Rainbow Six Vegas on the PSP. I don't think there needs to be any screen capture for that. I think we all know at this point what Rainbow Six here is, and it's Rainbow Six on the PSP. Now, going back to the Final Fantasy, I picked up Final Fantasy Tactics: The War of the Lions. Now again, I know that there's a distinct difference between Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy Mainline. As far as that goes, like, that's where my knowledge stops with Final Fantasy. Oh, and then I think there's also the MMO online too, right? So, again, dipping my toes into foreign waters here, but also branching out and really trying to broaden my horizons with games, you know. We only got one life, not like in video games, so I want to make sure that, you know, before I kick the can, I'm able to say, like, yeah, you know, I branched out. I wasn't stuck in my ways, you know. So, and I want to say, too, I'm kind of speeding through this here. I don't know why. I feel rushed for some reason. But all these games are, like, really affordable. I didn't splurge on anything. I think the most I spent on a game was maybe $20 tops. Um, and like I understand, not every game is going to show up being like super clean or this or that, but I got lucky and picked a lot of games, like not a lot, but a lot of games, and they were all clean. Like I don't have any complaints on the covers or anything like that. You can see here, Final Fantasy Tactics is really nice and clean. We got the manual and the registration card. One thing I love about these PSP games is a lot of them have like reversible covers. I feel like the PSP just totally went over my head. Outside of having it the 1 year I had it before my sister threw it and broke my original launch PSP when I was in high school. Now moving on, we got a Konami FPS. Coated Arms. I have never heard of this before, but just turning the game on, you're greeted with an intense, awesome, action-filled trailer of what you can expect with the game. And it's not just like, here's some, footage of the character, you know what I'm saying? Like pre-rendered stuff or this or that. No, like the game has an awesome soundtrack right from the beginning. And it shows you awesome gameplay. So, like, in-game gameplay. And again, like, it's clean. And this game has one of the coolest reversible covers, I think. And I'll show it here right now on screen. It is just so flippin' cool. I'm excited to play it, guys. I'm really excited to play it. Next up, this classic franchise that hasn't been touched in quite a while. Killzone and Killzone Liberation for the PSP. Now this one is not an FPS. This one is more of a eagle eye view run and gun shooter for your PSP. I'm digging it so far. It was actually hard to put down after capturing screen capture footage for it. I was really digging the game. It felt really fun and kind of reminded me of Neo Contra in a way. I'm actually a really big fan of Killzone 1 and 2, but that's about as far as my Killzone experience goes. But I'll tell you guys this, man. I'm really digging this one, and I can see myself sinking my teeth into this one for quite some time. Next up is a game that I don't know how I feel about it yet, and that is Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops Plus. So, I understand like this is a New Games Plus kind of edition for Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. It wasn't what I expected it to be right out of the gate, so we'll see. I saw a Metal Gear game, and I saw it was cheap. It was under, it was like $10. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I am grateful to have a Metal Gear Solid game on the PSP. And lastly here, from what I was told by Radical Reggie at the convention, this was a launch title for the PSP, and that is Untold Legends: Brotherhood of the Blade. Right away, this game reminded me of Champions of Norath, and that's a good thing. I don't have any experience with this franchise, Untold Legends, but I am digging it. I love dungeon crawlers. I love the fantasy aspect of it. I'm a huge Champions of Norath fan, and when I say it reminds me of it, it is definitely reminding me of that game. You can pick from different characters and classes, obviously different weapons and whatnot. I can see myself sinking a lot of time into this, I'm not gonna lie. And like what's cool too is for this video, I specifically bought a PSP to HDMI cable converter thing, whatever. I'm technologically inept. am rambling on my words here trying to explain this thing. It is a capture device that allows me to hook up my PSP to a television or my Elgato. And I can see myself hooking my PSP up to my TV to play a whole bunch of these games. So, let me know down in the comments below, guys, what you think about my pickups, and also what PSP games you guys recommend for me to go after. I do have about 10 or so games already in my collection, such as, Ape Escape on the Loose, which is like a rehash of the original Ape Escape. The Castlevania, good graciousness, what is it? I have it right here. You know what? I am going to just pull it out here right now. I know this is horrible form for the video. Castlevania, the Dracula X Chronicles. So this has Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night. And I think I got this for like $3 years ago. So anyways, let me know down in the comments below what you think I should pick up or keep an eye out for. I'm definitely interested in starting to collect for the PSP. Right now, prices aren't so bad. Hopefully you guys caught a glimpse of the prices that I put up there in the video. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure, guys, to subscribe. Press the like button on this video if you had a good time. And hit the bell for notifications. That way you guys always know when we go live every Monday night for the NSquared podcast, where we talk about all things pro wrestling, video games, comic books, movies, and more. Once again, we go live every Monday night at 6:30 Arizona time. And make sure to follow me on these links here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all of you new here to the channel and old. You guys are awesome, and we wouldn't be here without you. Alright guys, take care, and we'll see you next time.